We trust this man in the Senate, but he's never held a job. He's never had to meet a payroll, because Howard Metzenbaum was a self-made businessman. And so at the debate, John Glenn kind of waited. He bided his time, and he waited for that moment where Howard Metzenbaum pulled it out and said, how can you trust this man who's never held a job? And his response is something that people still talk about to this day. That huge of an area. The biggest town close to us, to tell everybody, I'm from Tyler, Texas, home of Earl Campbell. That recruiters didn't come to our school. So if you wanted to talk to one, a lot of times you had to seek them out. And I'll be honest, the military is not something I thought of. At this point in my life, literally at this time, 18 years ago, I was 5'8", I weighed 115 pounds. I didn't even weigh enough to join the Marine Corps. And a recruiter called me up, and he didn't try to sell me on the Marine Corps right away. He didn't try to tell me about everything. The only thing he asked for was the chance to have a conversation with me about me. And so he asked if I could drive 45 minutes to Tyler. I told him no, I couldn't do that. And, well, what if I come out to your house? So he came out to my house. I think it was a Saturday afternoon. He came out, sitting around the living room, and he didn't try to take a bunch of facts, figures, numbers, and everything and throw them out in front of me. What he did is he asked me what was important to me, what mattered to me, who did I want to be in life? And then he tried to draw a path to see if the Marine Corps could help me do that. And so when I talk to folks, when I give you a call on the phone, when I hit you up on Instagram or something like that, that's literally all I'm asking to do is just take a little bit of your time to have a conversation about you. Luckily, well, it wasn't that easy, because I'll be honest, like the thought of the Marine Corps, like it kind of scared me. The Marine Corps is the longest, toughest boot camp, strictest, highest standards of any military branch, and the thought of 5'8", 115-pound me, it was intimidating, right? And so I didn't tell him I wanted to join the Marine Corps in that moment. I told him I needed to think about it. And he called me back, and I told him, well, I think I want to go talk to some of the other branches. I was really smart, so I had this misconception, right? Like all the smart people, they go and join the Air Force, because I had got like a really good score on my ASVAB, and so I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go and do that. But I'll be honest, I never set that appointment. I never made that phone call. And I called him back about a week later, and he asked me how did my interview with the Air Force go. I told him I didn't make it. And he's like, why not? And I was like, I don't know, I couldn't do it. And without hesitation, he asked me, what's the deal, man? Like, what's standing between you and this? And I told him, I was like, Sergeant Thompson, honestly, I'm scared. Like, I don't know that that's something I can do. And he asked me a question that I'll never forget. He looked me in the eye and he asked, do you trust me? And I was kind of confused, like, what do you mean? Do you trust me that I will get you ready for boot camp, that I will not send you to boot camp to fail? And I was like, well, yeah. He's like, well, that's my job. Because one great thing about the Marine Corps is I am responsible for everybody I've enlisted until they at least graduate and even after. Most of me, to the point to where, I mean, if you look at a Marine Corps school that I've been to, I've never finished outside of the top 10%. I've got trophies for being an honor graduate. I mean, little tiny Morristown, Tennessee out here, and I was just named Recruiter of the Year for 2020 for the whole state of Tennessee, Northern Mississippi, Northern Alabama. It's the Marine Corps discipline, the structure, the standards that they had to instill in me that took my natural talents, my natural intelligence, and put me on a level to where I could succeed. I'm not sure without the Marine Corps that I have that. I'll be honest with you. Sitting there in East Texas and looking the landscape of who I had to learn from around me, I didn't have anybody. I look at stepdad, aunts, uncles, friends, cousins, my older brother, and the question is who do I need to mirror, who do I need to learn from to be successful here? And I'm not, talking bad on my family or anything, but it's the truth. Some of y'all might have that right now where you have this desire in you to be successful, but you just don't know the path. You don't know the way. And so what I had to do is I had to take myself out of my circumstances there and surround myself with highly motivated, highly disciplined, highly successful people. And the only thing I had to do was keep up. That's all I had to do. Just keep up with them, stay on level with them. The Marine Corps taught me to set a standard for myself that is higher than anybody else has ever tried to hold me to. because I know if I do that, I'll be okay. If I let myself down, and leaders are like, what are you talking about? You're doing great. And it's like, yeah, but my standard for myself is higher than that. And so that all starts at boot camp. I know that's like the big elephant in the room whenever we talk about the military in general, especially the Marine Corps, because yeah, it's long, it's hard, but I'll be honest with you, like, what in life worth doing is ever easy? What accomplishments that you're most proud of were easy to do? If you think of the single most thing that you're proud of in life, it's probably also the hardest thing you had to do. You know, variations here or there, but to an extent, you're proud of it because it was difficult. And that's what this did for me. I didn't plan on doing this 20 years. I didn't think I'd be standing here 17 and a half years later. My goal was to just join, get some work experience, be taught what it was to work, get some discipline, maybe learn some leadership skills, get a job skill, and then go back to work somewhere in East Texas. That was my plan. But plans change, right? And here I am, 17 and a half years later, 2.5 years from retiring and getting paid a bunch of money to just wake up every morning, and life's gonna be great. A couple of things I guess on my career to hit on. I've lived in North Carolina. I'm going back there actually in like 6 or 7 months. So started off in North Carolina, went to an Army base in Missouri, lived 3 years in Okinawa, Japan. It's literally the most beautiful place I've ever been in my life. Crystal clear waters, nicest people, longest average life expectancy of any one place on the planet Earth. After there, I went to Beaufort, South Carolina. That's where Parris Island is. I spent 3 years on Parris Island in and around the recruit training environment. And I think that's something that helps me prepare folks so well for recruit training, is because I was there, and in a way I kind of lived it. And I got to see behind the scenes. Every person I've ever sent to Parris Island, with the exception of one who hurt his knee, has graduated to become a Marine. I don't have quitters. If somebody's gonna quit, I just don't even send them. From there, I went back to North Carolina and then came out here to Tennessee. The one thing I will tell you is every place that I've been, I got to pick. That's something that is huge in the Marine Corps, is you get what you earn. If there's something that you want, put forth the work and you will get it. Anybody that you find that's complaining about an experience, or how it didn't go their way, I would question how much work they actually put into their experience in trying to succeed. One huge thing, I guess we can kind of roll into normal questions, because I don't think they really roll into the computer all too much, do they? But one question that I get is about the jobs a lot. So without going into how other branches do the jobs, the way it works for me is you take your ASVAB, right? Like juniors just did that a few weeks ago, seniors did that last year. If you don't like your score, I have this glorious thing called the PICAT. It's actually a lot easier than the ASVAB, and folks tend to score about 10 points higher on that. But yeah, see what you qualify for ASVAB-wise. And then we send you to MEPS. We see what you qualify for physically. The reason we don't get into jobs too much is because I'm experience of that. So I wanted to be in this thing called data systems, basically setting up computer networks for the Marine Corps. Like I wanted to go out to an open field and make the internet. And that's what I wanted to do. The only problem is I don't have normal color vision. And I didn't really know that until I went to MEPS, and they're like, yeah, you don't have normal color vision, you can't do that job. And I was like, oh goodness, what do I do now? Luckily, my recruiter had made me fall so in love with the Marine Corps at that point that I had other job options that I was willing to do that I could do being color deficient. And so what I have folks do is I have you pick a top 3 based off of what you're qualified for. I have never sent anyone to boot camp on anything other than their #1 job based off of what they're qualified for. So if the concern and the fear is that you're hearing stories of, I'm just going to stick you in whatever job field I want and I'm not going to let you choose, it's just not true. And you can literally ask the 15 people that I've enlisted from Morristown East in the last 2 years and ask them, and every single one of them will tell you that they went to boot camp on their #1 job choice, and they're out in the Marine Corps doing it right now. Like I said earlier, another big question that comes up, boot camp is 13 weeks long, not including the 2 weeks that they stick you in a hotel in Atlanta. The hardest weeks are the first 3 because they're just teaching you all the basics. I will say when it comes to swimming, shooting a rifle, doing anything, I didn't know how to swim when I went to boot camp. That's usually a fear that a lot of people have. They will teach you everything you need to know. I'd shot guns, but I never shot a rifle before. And I'm like a 7-time expert by Marine Corps standards for the rifle. And so if there's any kind of concern or fear, like I don't know how to do that, I don't know this, like they will teach you everything you need to know. And then a big one is kind of differentiating, the last couple here, is active duty versus the reserves. So you have active duty, and that's what you normally think about the military. So that's, you go to boot camp, you go to school, and then you get stationed somewhere around the country or the globe, and you wake up every day and you do a job for the Marine Corps for 4, 8, 12, 20 years, however long you decide you want to do it, right? That's where, I mean, I've been in 17.5 years. The government has shut down like 5 or 6 times. I've never missed a paycheck. They've come like clockwork every 1st and 15th. That's where you get the really good GI Bill that allows you to go to any 4-year university, and it's just free of charge. I've actually taken that and I've transferred it to my children. And so while I can use TA, tuition assistance, that doesn't even touch those education benefits to finish a degree, my kids are going to be able to go to any 4-year university they want, and the VA is going to pay for that because I took it for myself, transferred it to them. It's something that you can do once you hit about 8 years in, but it's like super beneficial. I'm going to retire. I'm going to come back to Morristown here, so whoever the next recruiter is better be on his game because I'm going to be around. One of the things I'm going to do is use the VA loan. It's a housing loan that lets you basically get a house without having to write a $20,000 to $40,000 check, 10 to 20% down to get in. Banks will work with you. And so just little things like that that are more often for active duty folks because they hit the timelines. Now, if you go to the reserves, you can still get those things. You just have to have your reserve time accumulate high enough. The reserves are, you go to boot camp, you go to your job school, but then you come back here. And you just go to a reserve center in Johnson City or Knoxville 1 weekend out of the month. You can still go to college. You can still have your current job. You can still do everything that you were going to do, but now you have the power of the United States Marine Corps behind you, the discipline, the leadership, the courage, the self-confidence. You can put that on a resume, and folks will know before you even walk in the room, hey, this guy has some skills, like has some things, because you've earned the title Marine. And so those are kind of the 2 things. And then the last piece I'll hit, because I only plan to do this for about 5 more minutes. I was actually in this room when it was a criminal justice room, and Gina Sanchez asked a question, what was my favorite thing about the Marine Corps? And this is something I try to work in every time because of all the things, I'm very, very passionate about this. The great thing about the Marine Corps, the greatest, my favorite thing, is you get out of this what you put into it. So you will go as far as what your hard work is willing to take you. And I always reference a video when I do this, and I'm sure some of y'all that have been hearing me talk since your sophomore year will know this. There was a video, and it was a social experiment where these guys were in a park, and they wanted to have a race to a $100 bill. So they got all these folks lined up, and they sent a dude off in the distance with a $100 bill. And they lined everybody up, and they were getting ready to start. But before they started it, they asked them a bunch of questions. And the questions were things like, you know, if your parents are still married, take 2 steps forward. If you never had to worry about where your next meal came from, take 2 steps forward. If you went to a private school, take 2 steps forward. All of these things that none of those people were lined up to do this race could control, right? But was proven that it helps them get further in life. And I would say the great thing about the Marine Corps is none of that matters. Nobody cares what you look like. Nobody cares how much money your parents make, where in this country you came from, what your last name is. None of it matters. The only thing that matters is how hard are you willing to work. Because that and that alone will define how far you go. And there's some people that is the only shot they've ever asked for in their life, is just give me an equal chance. Give me an equal start line, because no one will beat me. But there are other folks that maybe they took a couple steps forward and they realized that they were standing in the middle of this field, they were halfway to the money, and they didn't do anything to deserve it. There are some people that have benefited a lot in life, but they want to see what they're capable of. Not what they're capable of based off of what they've been handed, but what as individuals are they capable of. The great thing is the Marine Corps doesn't care. Where on that spectrum, where in that line you may have come from, we don't care. The only thing we care about, how hard are you willing to work? Because you don't earn the title Marine without willing to work hard. There's an old recruiting poster that says, we don't promise you a rose garden, and it's true. It's not easy. It's going to be difficult. You're going to doubt yourself. Your muscles are going to hurt. You're going to be tired. But I promise you at the end of the day, it's worth it. And so if those sound like things that appeal to you, this is my number here. It's been here the whole time, 423-231-7123. Shout out to Morristown Signs for hooking this up for me because it's beautiful. Shoot me a text. Shoot me a message. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I know I don't have the sheets to pass out to everybody to check the little block that says, do you want me to call you? But you know what? It means a lot more to me if you reach out yourself, because then I know that folks actually want it. And what we can do is we could sit down, we can have that conversation about you. We could talk about what matters to you. Where do you want to go in life? What really is important to you? What are the things you want to accomplish? And then you can let me see if the Marine Corps can help you get there. If it can't, awesome. I'll shake your hand. I might invite you to PT. But if it is, with the time that I have left here, that's something that I really want to do. Because I'm on a mission with 6-7 months left here, is to enlist the absolute best people in East Tennessee. And so if that's you, hit me up, shoot me a text. My phone's already buzzing over there, so somebody's doing it. I want to thank you for your time. Again, thank you for the staff of Morristown East for even allowing me to come in here and do this. I know with everything going on, it's kind of tricky. I really do appreciate it, and I really appreciate the opportunity to help people change their lives, because at the end of the day, that's what this did for me. It changed the rest of my life, my family's life, literally everything. And so to anyone who's watching this that had a hand in allowing me to come here, I just want to thank you, and thank you for your time.